Hello, welcome to Season 11 of The Horrific Podcast. We're two friends who live in different places but share a love for scary movies. This season, in each episode, we will not both watch the same movie on our own and then record a conversation together about it later. We have 10 previous seasons of doing exactly that, and it's time for something new. This season, each episode will focus on a larger horror topic, trend, or maybe even rumor. We'll speculate about upcoming movies, debate genre definitions, and do our best to apply the perspective of two people who have watched way too many horror movies to different types of horror media. Thanks for coming along for the ride. You know what's crazy?
What's that?
Feels like 2022 has been going on for quite some time.
It has.
Right? Like we're in August.
Mm-hmm.
And we are wrapping up season 11.
Yeah.
We started season 11 in January.
That's crazy.
How did we do? This is
fun.
supposed to be like a few months max. And
yeah.
We just kind of kept going.
I know, but
So,
I liked it, though.
Thanks to everybody that stuck with us through this. That's a bit of maybe an overreach on our part.
Nah.
But
a lot of stuff happened this season, man.
Yeah, I had fun with it. It was definitely different. I mean, I think from the beginning, the idea was, we've already done 10 seasons where we do exactly the same thing every week. So how can we change it up and make it more interesting for ourselves? And I think mission accomplished on that.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah. And so this is just kind of our end of season recap episode where typically we'll kind of revisit the stuff that we talked about and then maybe give you a little bit of a hint as to what next season might hold. And the main idea here was that we really wanted to branch out from just watching a horror movie every week and to look at sort of the larger horror influence landscape in other types of media, and then more things about, like, I guess more information about horror movies in general, specifically with regard to subgenres.
Yeah, I think we had this 100 years of horror, which gave us a good idea of where we came from. And this one was like, let's dig into it, though. Let's not just see where we came from. Let's talk about genres. Let's talk about new movies coming out. Let's talk about, Oat Studios, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
That was the beauty of this season. I loved it because we were so free.
Yeah. Were there any things that really, stood out to you after, kind of looking back on, the past 600 or however many episodes are in this one?
No. Just kidding.
This interview's going well.
I know. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I think for me, the thing that stuck out the most, which it's not necessarily, I'm going to not answer your question, but act like I did.
Good.
I wasn't too sure how this season was going to go as far as, how many listeners we have or anything like that, because it's all we've really done, besides a few TV shows here and there, and a couple random episodes, it's just movies. That's just all we've done. And so when this idea came up, I was excited, but I was like, I don't know if they want to hear this, I really don't. And then once we started this season, I mean, our downloads are getting higher and higher, and it's what the hell is happening? What's going on here,
Well, and even beyond the numbers, because I never really trust those, just because I know lots of stuff on the internet's fake and designed to tell you what you want to hear so that you spend more money on it and whatnot. But, this season, more people that I know have started conversations with me about it than probably at any point in the past, other than when we did, The Haunting of Hill House or something that was really popular at the time and everybody was, kind of talking about it. But I've actually had some great conversations with friends and family about horror related themes because they're like, oh yeah, I was listening to the episode about monster movies and I never really stopped to think about, something that we talked about there. And I'm just like, aw, that's all I ever wanted out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, the other thought too is at the end of the day, we've been doing this since 2017. So we've been doing this podcast since 2017. And, for the most part, besides, a few weeks here and there, we're pretty steady with our uploads and all that. And like when it came to this season, we're season 11, and it came to this season, it's like, yeah, we are like where I'm comfortable enough to where I can talk about my opinions on horror films. Like we've shown just through like our content, all the episodes that we have, 274 of them, I think, that like, hey, 274 after, 274. But like we prove like, hey, like we're putting in the work, we're fans of it, so we have a say in this too, and that's where we kind of it's where the season kind of took off. For me. Yeah, we've done our homework, and like there's literally no denying it because we have all the episodes to prove it. So it's like I know that 274 horror movies or TV shows in what is that, like 5 years, doesn't sound like a ton, but that's still more than your average person. Like once a week during a season, at least, we're watching at least one,
We got consistency.
You're damn right.
We got horror movie takes you can count on a periodic basis.
If I'm editing them, and they usually come out late. I just thought I'd tell you guys that.
It happens to the best of us.
But I was so, like, I didn't want this season to end, honestly. Like, I'm legit, I think I had the most fun with this season. It was your stupid idea.
Yeah. No, it has been, like, a kind of a good, almost like reset, I guess, as far as, it was cool to take some time to step back a little bit and talk about maybe larger things going on with horror in sort of drawing on all of our experiences rather than keeping the discussion focused to just a single movie. Yeah. And I think that even moving forward, as we go back to doing more like specific movie stuff, this was a good kind of time to like get our bearings a little bit and figure out like kind of how we wanted to frame those conversations and stuff.
Well, and I think it also helped, like for me, I'll speak for myself, like it helped me figure out like these are my favorites or these aren't, or it helped me realize like, I do like A24 films. Like, the last episode, I was like, God, I'm an idiot, especially after looking them up after that we recorded. But I mean, I think that's like also what it helps us, kind of figure out. Like one of my big things, and you know this, and that's the reason why we did that 100 Years of Horror, was like, I want to know about it. Whatever I'm doing, like I want to know as much about it as possible if I enjoy it. Like I enjoy horror movies or motorcycle. I don't enjoy work, so I don't give a shit about that. But no, I'm just kidding. Not kidding. So it just kind of like, that's just how my brain kind of works. And like this, I think season has like given the listeners the best, like where we're at with horror movies and TV shows, as far as our podcast goes.
Yeah, I think it's also been a good way for us to kind of talk about the way that we approach horror and like the things that we look for and the things that we find effective and sort of even how we like mentally categorize it. Yeah. And so even going through the exercises of like finding the list, doing the deep dive on the different subgenres, and then relating that back to movies that we've watched in the past is kind of a good way for us to like frame those discussions moving forward too. So, definitely we'll have some interesting things coming up in the future, maybe not in the next season, but the one after that does a little bit more formal embrace of that idea. But as far as things that stood out to me kind of going through this season that I wasn't necessarily expecting was just how much non-movie horror content is available. And that goes everywhere from, other like types of video media. So whether that be, the YouTube stuff that is now on Netflix with Oates, or if it's all these different types of series, anthology versus kind of more standard horror TV stuff, to, a hardcore album that was influenced very directly by horror movies. It was cool. And like the subreddits and the writing that, you know, kind of went along with that and the images and stuff. Like, it was just really fun to branch out a little bit and to spend time specifically focusing on those things and realizing that this thing that we're a part of, and I guess it's like the horror culture or whatever you want to call it, is so much bigger than just movies. And if you're someone who, you know, doesn't necessarily have time to sit down and watch a movie every week like we do, there's so many other ways that you can find to, I don't know, consume media in that same culture.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the Reddit and all that.
Yeah. And I guess kind of what's interesting to me, or what could go along with that, is that it's that many opportunities to contribute. So in addition to, you know, making a podcast with your best friend that goes on for 100 years about horror movies, like, if you wanted to, you could write stuff and post it on the subreddits, or if you're good at image editing and, you know, wanted to do some photography stuff or whatever, like, you could contribute that way, or even making YouTube videos. And so it was kind of cool because it made it feel like our world is a lot bigger than a movie theater or, you know, sitting on your couch. And that's awesome.
Yeah. And I think for me, the thing that kind of tying into that, but one of the bigger things with season 11 that kind of opened my eyes is, you know, as you know, with COVID and all this stuff that happened, we started to see like a different trend with like movies where they're getting put on, you know, platforms that you can stream, you know, and so like for me, and maybe you as well, since we like the movie theater, like it's almost like a little terrifying for us because it's like, well, shit, I still like to go to the theater. I still like, I enjoy that whole process, but it's not like, you know, these genres are going away, and this is just another way that this can keep it going. I can't watch, you know, a horror film in my, you know, 30-minute lunch break without getting back to work late because I'm invested. But I can read Reddit horror stories, or like Reddit, what's going on, you know, what's coming out kind of thing. And that's just like, it helps build the community, as everyone's aware, but kind of helps build the community. It helps people get involved that, you know, we're just two dudes from Oklahoma, you know, that like horror movies. That's why we did this podcast. And it kind of, next thing we know, we have people reaching out to us from Australia and, you know, England and all this. And it's like, good Lord, like, this is awesome. Like, I didn't even think that would be the case. Yeah. But it's just like, this is all part of it. Our podcast, all the horror podcasts, Reddit, that's what this season kind of, like, for me, like, also helped define. Like you said, with the Ice Nine Kills episode we did, I think it was episode 8, which was like the hardest episode of the season for me.
Dude, I put more time into getting ready for that episode than anything else we've ever done. Yeah, it was like, I remember we were talking before the season, and it was like, well, and, you know, I've been trying to convince you to do like a music podcast forever, and that was the episode that killed that dream of doing a music podcast for me. Because I was like, screw this. Like, no way. This is too much, you know, because like, you're listening to a song and you get sidetracked, and then you gotta go back and I'm good. Like, I'm good not doing that for now. Even though that's like what I feel like we're the most expertise, like non-work experts, you know, like that's music. Right. But still, it was a hell of a season. So, and we had like some really cool, like, you know, we had the requels happen, you know, with Scream 5 and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and had Nope come out. That was dope. Yeah. And we actually got to dive into like genres, and I think it kind of helped us decide, like, man, you can't really drill these down that well, without, what was it? The monsters and zombies? Was that the question you brought up in one of the episodes? I can't remember the specific, but you brought up, you're like, well, what would zombies be then? Should that be its own genre or something like that? And it just, like, my brain like melted when you asked that. Like, I was just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is, but that's what we're here to figure. We're gonna try to find out one day. Yeah, keeps it interesting. And then another thing that really stood out to me about this season, like looking back through the episodes, was that we got to be here as the horror movie theater experience became real again. And I think that kind of culminated, for both of us getting to go see Nope in the theater.
Yeah.
But like after years of like sitting at home and watching a movie being just like a purely solo endeavor. I mean, like being able to talk to you afterwards definitely made it better, but there's just something really special, I think, about horror movies specifically about seeing them in a theater with other people and being able to hear each other react. Like there's something about that emotional connection or like the types of reactions that horror movies are designed to create in the viewer that is a better experience when it's communal. And being able to like talk about movies like The Black Phone and seeing that actually did well in the theater and that it, far surpassed its budget, and the idea that, it's not over. Like there is still a market for movies that aren't Thor or whatever, the big new Marvel thing is, that like horror is still alive and well and profitable and people will show up and support it. Like that's been so cool to see. And I'm so glad that we've had a chance to kind of like ride out the last couple of years and how we've gone full from, we hear a new horror movie's coming out and being so excited to get to go to the theater and watch it, to I don't know what streaming service it's going to be on. I better start a free trial on all of them so I'm ready to like, now I can go see a movie and I can like talk to friends who might also have seen the same movie in the theater and stuff. And it's just, I didn't realize how much I missed that until, because Sarah and I went to a few movies during the pandemic because Alamo Drafthouse was open and you could get a seat, but then it was like in between, they had blank seats in between and you had to wear a mask the whole time and stuff. And it just, those movies were never crowded. It was never the experience of seeing a movie with a packed theater, Yeah. And that I think really is an asset when it comes to horror movies.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think kind of like what you're saying, like it all kind of ties into each other. So like thankfully horror movies didn't die with the theater, that they're coming back, and I think it's because of the Reddit and all that. So
yeah, I mean, I
think
there is an audience for it, and I think there is a community of people that are part of our world that will continue to make that the case. And
better be.
Yeah, and it's like a self-fulfilling thing, right? Because like if people show up to the movies, then they'll keep making the movies and making like more risky movies, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is where the best horror has always come from.
Yeah. And plus, like, it needs to keep happening so that we don't lose our job with this podcast that we don't make any money on.
It would suck to lose our $0 paychecks.
We're negative, buddy.
In this economy?
We're negative. We've gone negative immediately into this podcast.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for Real Good to extend a formal sponsorship.
I mean, Real Good, we listening.
Real Good makes your movie watching experience real good.
Potentially, depending on how much they pay us.
Yeah.
No,
use the free version until they start.
Yes, please do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun.
This also had, a few, like this had a few episodes that we were able to do from the listener, so we had a listener reach out to us, or a couple, I guess, this season, but, and that's where, and I don't know what it is about you weirdos, no offense to the listeners, offense to you, Daniel, but like every time that we've got a recommendation, like it's been super dope. I don't get it. Like I've expected to have a bad one come through.
Are you really going to say that about the Changeling?
Was that a recommendation?
From Russell. I didn't tell you till after the fact, though.
That fucking guy. I don't count that one. That's Russell. Anyone who's been listening from day one knows.
Yeah.
My beef with that guy. But I'm talking about like the...
You're talking about Masters of Horror.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Masters of Horror. I
keep
thinking of the pancake group that's in Austin. Every time
Master Pancake?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Masters of Horror. I mean, like, I've watched multiple of those just on my own since then, so... Yeah. These recommendations are awesome. Like I mean, if you guys please reach out to us. I'm doing this thing where I text Daniel a picture of the email and say, "Hey, can you respond? Here's the password."
Yeah, that's actually true.
You're way better with words than I am.
You're just Tom
punctuation.
Sawyer and me left and right, aren't you?
You're better at punctuation.
Oh, you're so good at this. It's really fun. You should do it.
Is that gaslighting?
Probably. I don't know.
Good. Good. Still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I guess a little sneak peek of what comes next.
Yeah.
Is that what we have left to do? Season 12 is going to be as short as season 11 was long.
What? That's it. That's all you guys get.
Yeah.
Meaning we're done. No, I'm just kidding.
And it's going to be all westerns.
Hey,
Not really. It could be,
shit.
but it won't be.
Damn. Okay.
Season 12 will be horror. We will be going back to our individual movie format. There will be a theme for those movies that will be revealed later. But it's going to be short because we're going to also be using that time to get ready for season 13, which is going to be quote unquote kind of a big deal. So
yeah,
get excited. Really good things to come. More info on what comes next week. And thanks for sticking with us through what has been, I'm just going to say, my favorite season so far.
I'll agree with that. That is your favorite season so far.
Is that gaslighting? I don't know what's happening anymore. Okay.
I'm a dad now. Dude, my kid's almost a year old.
I will not call you daddy.
Call me mommy.
Okay, Mom.
Thanks. Yeah. Best season by far. My favorite season by far, for sure. And also, it's the only season where, like, I've accidentally missed a full week of posting an episode. But we realized that when we were recording. I was like, wait, why the hell is my episode not posted?
Yeah.
And I still don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyways, we appreciate you guys sticking around. The delays are on me. My name is Daniel, and it's on me. I did it.
Now you're gaslighting all them too.
Good. I'm a gaslighter, baby.
Let's get out of here.
All right.
And that's it for today's episode. If you've listened this far, then thank you, and we hope you've enjoyed it. We're always looking for new ideas, so if you have any questions, comments, or movie suggestions, please send us an email at thehorrificpod@gmail.com, or feel free to comment on or message our Facebook page. Just search for The Horrific Podcast. Thanks for listening.